Focusing our attention to the right side of the MPC Studio 2, in the center at the top, we have our LED screen. Our LED screen gives us information about which mode we're in and what parameters we're adjusting. The first button to the left of that is your track select button and secondary function sequence select. The MPC has audio and MIDI tracks, and you have 128 audio and 128 MIDI tracks in the MPC software. You also have 128 sequences available to you. The button beneath that is your program select with the secondary function of track type. The button beneath that is your browse button. The browse button allows you to browse your install expansion packs that you can purchase from the AKAI website. It also allows you to browse any media connected to your computer, whether that be internal hard drives, external hard drives, thumb drives, SD cards, so forth and so on. The secondary function of the browse button is up, which allows you to move up in the hierarchy of a folder that you're in while browsing. Beneath the browse button, we have the shift button that I mentioned earlier, which allows you to access the secondary functions of any other button. Beneath the shift button, you have a similar button, the mode button. The mode button allows you to access different modes on the MPC. And if you notice, underneath each MPC pad, it has the name of the pad and also a mode. So for instance, the pad in the top left is pad 13, but it also can give you access to sampler mode. To access sampler mode, I simply hold down mode and hit pad 13. And now I'm in my sampler. The button beneath the mode button is the main button, secondary function, track view. The main button gives you access to main mode, which is where you'll spend most of your time while creating in the MPC. I'm going to go back to main mode now. Underneath your LED screen, you have your data dial knob. And the data dial knob allows you to adjust the values of different parameters depending on what mode you're in. Beneath the data dial knob, you have your minus and plus buttons, which do the same thing as the data dial, allowing you to adjust values of parameters, but in increments of 1 using plus or minus. Beneath your minus button, you have your quantize button, which allows you to quantize MIDI events at the set time correction value. Beneath the quantize button, you have your time correction on and off button. Secondary function is configure. The time correction on and off turns time correction on or off during your sequencing. Configure allows you to set your time correction value. To the right of the quantize button, you have your zoom button, secondary function vertical zoom. Beneath your zoom button, you have your automation read and write button, secondary function off. At the top right of the MPC, you have your sample select button. This button allows you to select a pad and then select which sample you want to be on that pad from the samples that are in your project. Beneath that, you have your sample start button, which allows you to adjust the start of a sample. Its secondary function is loop start, which allows you to adjust the start of a loop. Beneath that, you have your sample end button, which allows you to adjust the end of a sample. Beneath that, you have your tune button, secondary function fine tuning, which allows you to tune a sample or fine tune a sample. Beneath that, you have your undo button. The secondary function is redo. Beneath that, you have tap tempo, secondary function master. You can also hold down tap tempo and use your data dial to input a tempo manually. The next to the last row of buttons on the MPC Studio 2 gives you the ability to navigate your playhead in your project. The final row of buttons on the MPC are your transport. You have your record button, your overdub button, your stop button, your play, and your play start. There's not a lot on the rear of the MPC. You have your 1/8 inch MIDI in and MIDI out, and your USB connection. In the next tutorial, we'll get started by setting up a project.